One of the most controversial topics to Dokkan players these days is units and their hidden potential. 3 dodge for the longest time was a much hated practice by the APT lovers of the community. Popularized by D-Free and later to Truth DT, many doubters such as even myself once upon a time later began to see its advantages and began to also partake in the practice. After all, I couldn't tell you how many times I've 3 dodged a super attack. I myself have had plenty of runs saved and later cleared by 3 dodge in difficult content such as Extreme Super Battle Road, the God event, and the Ultimate Red Zone. Most people, I would say, understand that it's a very beneficial thing even if they choose not to go 3 dodge on their own units. However, over the past year, Truth has taken dodge a step further and has decided to go full dodge on several units, which is where our story begins. On July 30th, 2021, Truth tweeted out a picture of his Janemba's hidden potential system in which he showed the world that his Janemba had 24 dodge. Of course, his Twitter replies were full of people memeing around, along with people who were genuinely disgusted with what he did. People said it was useless, as Janemba was already far and away the best defensive unit in the game, along with the argument that going crit would put his terrible damage numbers up to something at least semi-respectable. Not only that, but even going full additional would allow him to build up the 3 hits required to build up his passive faster, both of which are respectable arguments. To those arguments, he mainly said that it was to get a no-item run on the movie boss's Extreme Super Battle Road stage, apart from the fact that Janemba could only build up in slot 2 and was primarily going to be a slot 1 unit due to how attack placement worked. Not only that, but he also has terrible super attack effects with minimal damage without being built up anyway, which are definitely fair points. He also could easily change the hidden potential system of Janemba whenever he pleased. While I personally wouldn't go full dodge on a Rainbow Janemba, it's definitely easy to see the value behind going full dodge, and it's not really a big deal on a unit like Janemba. It was also genuinely hilarious to see the reactions on this Twitter. He's since done this 3 more times, the first of which was Physical Super Saiyan 3 Goku, who he decided to give 23 dodge to. Of course, everyone lost their minds again, which was definitely refreshing, but I personally would also mainly give him dodge. Giving him full crit or additional is immediately a diminishing return, as it would, more often than not, be wasted. While a 15 to 27% chance to dodge on this Goku is definitely nothing amazing, rare and medium chances to dodge are often pretty trash in actual gameplay. It will give Super Saiyan 3 Goku more value than additional or crit, as often you'll proc both anyways. However, this is obviously my opinion, and I have no problem with anyone who disagrees with me. After this, he gave full dodge to Majin Vegeta, which I wholeheartedly disagree with. He said that Majin Vegeta is a more defensive unit, which is definitely true, who also doesn't need help after super attack, but rather he needs help before he super attacks, which is sort of true. However, I personally think of Majin Vegeta as more of a unit like GT Super Saiyan Vegeta. He can definitely do impressive attack stats under certain scenarios, but is more of a defensive option. No one would dare dream of giving GT Vegeta full dodge so he can be better in slot 1 before a super attack. Majin Vegeta is definitely a better slot 1 unit than GT Super Saiyan Vegeta, as he should be. He came out almost a full calendar year later. He similarly gets a massive portion of his defensive capability post super attack, so, in my opinion, it's a similar argument for Majin Vegeta. Giving him full additional to make him better defensively after a super attack is more beneficial than giving him full dodge, so he's better pre-super attack. While I understand the fact that he's already invincible after super attack, eventually, a day will come where he isn't invincible post-super attack. Power creep is constantly marching forward. However, it's not the biggest deal to a whale to just change his hidden potential system later on in the future. The point, however, is that while Majin Vegeta is a solid slot 1 unit, he's still a more slot 2 based unit, as are almost all units in the game these days, as most get defense post super attack. The most recent time he did this was STR Nappa, and while it certainly made for a very funny moment where he beat Omega Shenron due to dodging 3 straight normal attacks, a simple crit or additional attack would have also finished him off there too. Also, you're often not going to be at high amounts of HP in difficult content, so that extra defense you could get from a double super attack is a massive buff to Nappa's overall survivability on those turns. That's the backstory though. Why exactly is dodge better than crit or additional? Simply put, it's just a stronger mechanic than crit or additional. Whether people like to admit it or not, Dokkan is much more of a defensive than offensive game. I'm obviously not saying attack stats don't matter, but merely alluding to Dokkan rewarding more defensive gameplay styles than offensive gameplay styles. Units that don't do much damage but are very strong defensively, like AGL Kid Gohan, Tech Ultimate Gohan, and the pre-transformed versions of Tech and SGR Gogeta and Vegeta, are all some of the better units in the game due to having good kits and being very fluid and cohesive units on their team. They all provide good defensive utility while also having very powerful mechanics such as the Scouter mechanic, Guard, and very powerful active skills. However, units with more offensive kits designed to destroy enemies quickly is a playstyle that's not often rewarded. It can definitely work in some scenarios, don't get me wrong, but there's no doubt that STR Vegeta and STR Blue Kaioken Goku get absolutely annihilated in difficult content. Other units like even STR Broly can get crunched in a lot of situations. Again, to not make people mad, I wish to reiterate that these playstyles can work, however they're almost always less optimal. Teams like Hybrid Saiyans have thrived off of being unkillable and whittling down enemies. While none of those other units I just said have dodge, the dodge mechanic can be taken in a similar way. Dodge is a defensive mechanic. It produces zero offensive capability whatsoever. However, not taking damage from an enemy's super attack or even hard-hitting normal attacks provide you with the ability to survive and do damage to the enemy. You can't damage the enemy if you're already dead thanks to using Blue Kaioken Goku. The same concept also applies with units who have guard or scouter mechanics like HEL Ginyu. Defensive units and or defensive mechanics simply age better than offensive ones. But just so it's clear, this also doesn't apply to units who do ungodly amounts of damage and have moon level amounts of defense, like the 7th year anniversary LRs. Dokkan also doesn't punish units for having crit or additional like they do to units who have dodge. To be quite frank, there are currently no bosses who disable your unit's ability to land crits or disable additional attacks. However, there are already several bosses who disable your ability to dodge them. Some such bosses are the entire Broly fight in the red zone, Super 13 who's also in the red zone, and the final phases of any of the legendary event bosses, among others. These bosses have to cancel dodge in order to give the event a remote sense of difficulty. If we were all to just bring in units like Tech Khalifa and the UI Gokus, the events definitely would have a lot less difficulty to them. There's also the fact that in the hidden potential system, units receive a 2% chance to additional or crit for each point from the hidden potential system, while each point of dodge only gives you a 1% chance. For example, 27 crit or additional on a unit would mean you'd have a 54% chance to land that crit, while 27 dodge would only give you a 27% chance to dodge. This leads people to have a negative stigma about dodge due to it providing less percentages than the other two, which is definitely true. 99.95% of the time, going max dodge on a unit is a terrible decision because it provides your units less than going crit or additional. While I would definitely say that defensive units usually age better than offensive ones, damage still does and always will matter. But it's interesting to think about that Dokkan considered dodge much more powerful than crit or additional and nerfed it compared to the others. That's my 2 cents though. I'm not going to claim I'm right and that any other argument is invalid since everyone takes the game differently and is subject to their own opinion on these matters. I've covered why I believe that dodge is a stronger mechanic than crit or additional, and the rest is up to you to believe whatever you wish to. That's going to be it for me though. Thanks for stopping by.